What's going on, people? Welcome back to Nick J. Francis' channel once again. And Arsenal have just beaten PSV Eindhoven 1-0. They are meant to be our biggest test in this Europa League group. They are our biggest test in the Europa League group. And we are now pushing. We're basically guaranteed to go through, but we're now pushing to finish at the top of the table because, like I said before, there's going to be some really challenging games going forwards. And we are... we played them off the park today. They showed moments of being able to get in behind our defensive line, and this PSV team is full of talent. Let's not underestimate the job that this is to play against a team like this. They have Xavi Simons, they've got Gakpo, they've got a bunch of players, a bit reminiscent of that Ajax 2018-2019 team, where there's a lot of players in this team that top six clubs or big clubs around Europe are looking at. So for us to come up against them is a real good test. I thought it was really interesting and really smart for Arteta to go two at the top and have Nketiah and Jesus starting. It did mean a little bit shit or bust because they had to go and get goals. And, for us today, the weakness was just the finishing. We played some really, really good football. It was an enjoyable game to watch as an Arsenal fan, but just the finishing wasn't quite there. But that's not something that I really worry about when it comes to finishing. At the end of the day, in a training ground, all of these men can finish. All of these men are pro players. The finishing's not a problem. Form is up and down in terms of finishing, but the system works, the coaching works, playing together works. And it's important that we get Nketiah and Jesus playing together at this stage of the season, because at some point later on in the season, they may need to play together again. And it's just good for them to get that sort of link up. If we do get into a cup final where we throw everything on it and just go, we need to get a goal, when we throw all our strikers on and stuff like that, we don't want that to be the first time they're playing together. They need to build up that sort of connection. So, tough game, enjoyable game. And again, like we said last time against Bodo Glimt, pretty much the best possible preparation to go in against Southampton. Southampton are a team that is struggling. You would expect us to sauce and dance all over them in the kind of form that we're on at the moment. But it was great preparation. It was intense enough, but not so intense that we lost the game. Perfect. Exactly what we want. I know that we are a Europa League team at the moment and not a Champions League team, but we just don't have the squad to be a Champions League team. When we're a Champions League team, we're going to need our first 11 playing almost every game, which just isn't doable at this moment in time. But with the squad that we've got, we can take some of these games, not easy, but it's the right level of preparation. These guys are like mid-table, lower end of the table Premier League sides almost, with the kind of quality that they've got, certainly for Bodo Glimt and PSV Eindhoven, the kind of players. You've got Xavi Simons, he's played at Barcelona, he's played at PSG. These are potentially top-level players that Saka is going to get compared to, players that Reiss Nelson is going to get compared to. Really, really good tests for these types of young players. And we are unbeaten in 8 games. Apart from the Man United game, I think it's 14 games, and we've only lost 1. Unbeaten in 8, guaranteed to go through. So we can, not take it easy for the next couple of games that we've got, but now we can focus on the Premier League. We want to get this Europa League sort of done and dusted before the break, and we can focus on the Premier League. Like I say, Southampton on the weekend, and when teams are down at the bottom of the table, like Southampton are at the moment, and they're struggling, they can come out like wounded animals. We've seen Southampton be pushed when their back's against the wall, pull a performance out of nowhere. But we just look so sharp. The football that we're playing, again, like I said, the finishing wasn't quite there. We know Nketiah lacks a little bit of sometimes quality, but for me, lacks composure. There was a couple opportunities. He had more time than he realised. He just snatched at the shot. But in the end, it's Tomiyasu. We make a couple of subs because it's just not quite, the finishing isn't quite there. The chances, we're getting a half chances. And Gabby Jesus was unbelievable. He was really, really good today. And then we make a couple of changes. Ødegaard comes on. Reiss Nelson came on a little bit later. And I can't remember the other change that we made. Ødegaard came on and Partey came on for Lokonga, and Fabio Vieira went off as well. Those are the changes that we made. And we just had so much more control of the game. It's crazy. Those 1 or 2 players do make such a big difference. You can see the drop in quality, but Bukayo Saka was unbelievable again today. Once Ødegaard comes on, he just slows the game right down. And when I say he slows the game down, I don't mean it in a bad way. I mean, he's so good. He can go left, he can go right, his passing range, he makes people double, triple guess, and he slows the opponent down because he's so good. Takes his time, plays the ball, plays a reverse ball in for Tomiyasu. Tomiyasu, Nketiah and Jesus are pushing right up, close to the keeper on the last man. That leaves Xhaka in the middle of the box, pretty much free. Cross comes in, Xhaka, right foot, 1-0. Another Granit Xhaka goal. And we keep talking about the turnaround and the turnaround and forget we're beyond that. Forget the turnaround. It's ancient history. He's just a top-class Premier League midfielder. That's all there is to say about it. We ain't got to keep talking about what happened in the past. And forget it. He's a top-class Premier League midfielder, Granit Xhaka. Sitting at the top of the table. He started off as the captain tonight, which is really good to see. Odegaard took the captaincy once Odegaard came on. But the performances that Xhaka's putting in, the confidence, the smiles, the beams, the way the team is all playing together is just absolutely amazing to see. And I've got to say, I think, are Asian players underrated? Because if Tomiyasu, I don't know if it's a question of him being Asian or a question of him being Japanese or what it is. Maybe he's got a little bit more to prove. I don't know. But the way this guy plays, he's our best defender. He is out and out our best defender. He wins absolutely everything in the air. He gets up and down. He can overlap or underlap. He can put crosses in. He gets assists. This guy's just unbelievable. He's the best defensive player that we have. He can play left back, right back, or centre back. I think if we had 11 Tomiyasus in the team, we could win the league. This guy is just so good. And he just doesn't get talked about. I know that there's a bias towards English players because we're in the English Premier League. I get that. So everyone talks about Ben White. Everyone talks about Saka. Can they play for England, etc. But this Tomiyasu guy, 17 million we got him for. From, I think it was Torino. It was an Italian team. I think it was Torino. I can't remember. But 17 million we got this guy for. If we were to sell him in the summer, he would be a 60 or 70 million pound player. I don't care. Saliba's getting the headlines because of the perceived drama of him and Mikel Arteta, which is nonsense. He's a young player that went on loan and now he's back. It's no big drama at all. But this Tomiyasu guy is just so good. I have yet to really see him make any howlers, any mistakes. He just looks so composed. I mean, if we could have Tomiyasu and Saliba and copy and paste and flip it, and we had 2 Salibas and 2 Tomiyasus, we would never concede a goal. We would very, very rarely concede a goal. He just looked so good tonight. And he's looked good in every position that this guy plays. He's an absolute freak. But yeah, really, really good stuff. Like I say, we've got Southampton. That's going to be a tough and challenging game. We need to, Bukayo came off with a little bit of a muscle pull, it looked like. It didn't look like anything too serious. Martinelli came on really late, and we're just managing the squad a little bit. Didn't see Marquinhos today. We saw Reece Nelson instead. No Zinchenko. So I'm just trying to work out what the starting 11 is going to be for the weekend. People are starting to pick up little knocks and little injuries and stuff like that. And to be fair, today was a fairly physical game with quite a lot of challenges flying in because it was so competitive. But yeah, Gabby Jesus looks on such great form. Even though we didn't get a goal, he just, the way that he can just turn a player, go left, go right, put the ball through someone's legs. A couple of the passes were just a little bit outstretched for him and it just didn't quite work out today. But he's still playing at such a high level, He's like, he reminds me a bit of Bobby Firmino where, he plays in a sort of almost false 9 type of role where he does drop in and create as well as going and scoring goals. And he is a bit of a mixture. They said it in commentary, and he's a bit of a mixture of Lacazette as a striker and Aubameyang as a striker. He's got the drop in and hold the ball up and pin his defender like a Lacazette has got, but he can also spin and he's got the pace to go and do what Aubameyang does. He's really, really the perfect balance and an absolute masterstroke from the recruitment team. I'm just so curious as to whether or not it was, if Haaland doesn't come in, is he somebody that we go for? And actually, is Haaland going to City kind of a positive for us? That kind of work in our favour, because then we get the opportunity to go and get Gabby Jesus, who is, while he is a top quality player, he's not a top star. He doesn't come with the ego. He's still young and driven and determined to be part of this team and part of this project. He knows Arteta, and it just is so seamless how this has happened. And especially one of the biggest problems we've had over the last decade has been transfers, and this window we've got it so right in terms of the profiles. We may need 1 or 2 just to bolster the squad, but even Fabio Vieira looks very, very good. Lukunga's coming on leaps and bounds. You can see the level that they have to get to beat Odegaard and to be Partey consistently. I've seen Fabio Vieira put in a couple of good performances, but can he do it consistently? That's the question. But everything is just going so well. We've got 3 1-0s on the bounce. So there is going to be question marks about finishing and goals and different things like that. But we were scoring 3s and 4s earlier on in the season. We need these finishes now. We need these finishes when we've got especially when we've got our best starting 11 out there. When we've got Saka, Jesus, Martinelli, and Odegaard in the 10. We need more goals at the moment. But I just feel so confident that will come because everything else on the pitch is fine. Special shout out to Matt Turner as well. When he came in, I wasn't overly enthusiastic. He didn't look that great in pre-season. Really good today. Really, really good today. Distribution was very good. He didn't have a lot to do, but on the rare chances that they did pop up, and sometimes for a keeper, it's hard when you're not on that sort of momentum. We saw Lloris make a bunch of saves against Man United because he just was making save after save. It's like the goalkeeper equivalent to form. And he, you can lose concentration when you're not getting attacked and you're not getting shots thrown at you. And he just, every time there was a shot, dealt with it really, really well. Really composed, good decision making, and that's what we need. We don't want anything where it's going to be like, we don't want our keeper to be the star of the show, because that means our defense isn't doing very well. So a couple of times they did break through, and like I say, it was all good stuff from Matt Turner. So I just want to make sure that he gets that credit. Credit to Rob Holding, not really being a starting 11 player, but being professional and doing his job every time he comes in. Can't complain at all. The professionalism across the squad is just such a joy to watch. It feels really, really cohesive. How long can you keep a squad like this together? I don't know. We need to start seeing contracts for Saka, Saliba, Martinelli. All their deals are up in 18 months. We've got to get these contracts tied down. But so long as we keep winning games, you've got to imagine that they're going to stay. So that's all I've got time for now. Southampton is going to be a really, really crucial game. Keep putting pressure on City. That's what it is. That's what it's all about. Putting pressure on Man City. Nobody expects us to beat Man City. No one expects us to win the league. But can we just keep putting the pressure on and make it as hard for them as possible? I believe that we can. And another 1-0 to the Arsenal. 1-0 to the Arsenal. 1-0 to the Arsenal. What more is there?